So now that July is almost upon us, let us reflect back to the last 30 consecutive days, which was reserved for, nearly worldwide, the honoring, spotlighting, and celebrating what is essentially a conglomeration of same-sex perversions artificially united under an acronym that is fastly growing out of control in the same way that cancer cells do. As you may already know, June is LGBT and then some Pride Month, which means, of course, an entire moon cycle's worth of parades and pageantries dedicated to the dispelling of the age-old harmful stereotype that gays are hedonistic, degenerate lunatics who will prey upon your children if given the chance. And of course, their most logical course of action, the same since Harvey Milk's heyday, is to march down a public thoroughfare in leather nut habits, towing their castrated catamites by a dog collar right in front of everyone's 6-year-old daughter, who was obligated to attend with the rest of her classmates by her lesbian feminist spinster of a schoolteacher. Now, this month-long, obnoxious display of narcissism and unwarranted self-importance by one of the smallest and equally insignificant demographics in America, expressed in ways normally deemed a private affair by those with any modicum of class and basic consideration for strangers, kicked off almost immediately after Memorial Day, which is a national observance of those who sacrificed all so that the rest of us could simply have, but apparently only half of us even appreciate anymore. So, as a dying republic who can barely recognize its own reflection in the mirror anymore, I guess the moral lesson we can all take from this circus-like farce posing as a righteous crusade is this: take a bullet in the trenches, receive a full day of recognition. Take a dick at some highway rest stop, receive an entire month. But let's not forget that October is also LGBT, etc. History Month, which extends the neo-Marxist, socially engineered, queer fetishizing and political pandering to a full hour for every minute dedicated to those who died defending one of the few places on earth that guarantees a queer's right to even exist without corporal or capital punishment. But go ahead, gay crusaders, and lecture us some more on the oppression you're experiencing from heteronormativity. Even though heterosexuals are the norm by natural law alone, seriously, it's over. Your struggle for inclusivity is no longer relevant. No, really. Practically every church I drive by now has a rainbow flag flying in front of it. No, I'm seriously warning you here. You're actually doing yourself a disservice by overstaying your welcome in the limelight like this. No, really, there's nothing edgy about your subculture anymore. You were about 20 years ago, but now most of you are uptight, joyless busybodies who are about as sanctimonious and thin-skinned as a fucking church lady. No, really, take a good look around you. Most of the young kids think being a faggot is like totally gay now. And of course by gay I mean lame. And you probably don't even understand what I just meant just then because that's how gay your whole scene has become. I mean, come on, don't you realize how elitist you all sound now by demanding this much attention and praise, even though you're like less than 3% of the total population? And what the fuck is all this praise for anyways? This just in, John and Steve just touched tips at a grinder hookup. Well, thank God. It looks as if we'll never have to worry about world hunger again. No, I mean it. Your conflated self-worth is becoming increasingly annoying, and your public antics are increasingly gross. I mean, my wife and I engage in some pretty kinky shit at times, but we don't perform it in our driveway for our neighbors to get a good gander at it. Get the fuck off the streets. You're blocking traffic, for Christ's sakes. Don't you understand that this is the same reason why everyone started to hate Black Lives Matter? And you don't even have to go home either. You have your own sex clubs and bars all over the place now. Why is this hard for you to understand? No one gives a shit. Unless, of course, you're referring to those Muslims who want you dead, but of whom so many of you are clamoring to welcome in by the millions regardless, then I guess you have a point then. But I'm sure most of you wouldn't dare refer to that bit of comically tragic irony, would you? Because that would be Islamophobic or something, and you're too busy still crying over that one Christian who didn't want to bake you that fucking cake if